Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. I want to thank y'all for tuning in and watching this Ray Hagen sermon with us. But the topic of tonight's discussion is Atheists Need Love Too. And just a reminder, this is a live call-in show. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, suggestions, whatever you got, you can call in and join, be part of the show, be part of the conversation. The number is right there on the bottom of the screen, and it's also listed in this video's description. So, it was a couple of people in the comments talking about God is real. I don't know if those people are still watching, but if you are, I encourage you to call in because God is definitely not real. It's a imaginary creature similar to the Tooth Fairy or Iron Man or the Loch Ness Monster. But first, before we get into debates about does God exist, let's first establish who has the burden of proof. You see, if I say I don't believe in leprechauns, I don't then have to prove that there are no leprechauns throughout the universe. I'm simply not convinced that there are any in the universe. So, I don't have to I don't have the burden of proof if I don't believe in leprechauns. And likewise, I don't have the burden of proof if I don't believe in your God. The one who is making the claim is always the one who has the burden of proof, not the one who is rejecting the claim. Now, in certain circumstances, I may take on the burden of proof if I say definitely for a fact 100% certain the God that you have described to me does not exist. And I'm prepared to prove that those gods don't exist. So the God that comes up most in my discussion seems to be this simple creator God, because most people when they get in a live conversation they don't want to debate about something that they can't prove, so they rely on their argument from ignorance and say, well, we don't know where the universe came from, we don't know how life began, so I'm just gonna say my God done it. Well, the reason why I can prove that that is not true is, well, for a, creation is necessarily a temporal thing, meaning it takes time to create. So, if there was a God that created things, time would have to precede this God, which means this God did not create time. Which then means this God would be dependent on time. God needs time to do anything. God needs time to even exist. But time does not need a God. God needs time. But God is supposed to be the end all be all, the all powerful, the Alpha and Omega. So that's an oxymoron if you bring time into effect. Also, if God exists outside of time, then how can he interact within time? How can he answer prayers or perform miracles? You cannot have it both ways. All right? And then you got to understand why people made up gods in the first place. It was usually to explain things that they didn't understand, like mudslides, tsunamis, drastic shit that would happen, droughts. They would blame these things on gods, Thor, Zeus, Poseidon, etc. But people no longer believe in those gods. Now they only believe in these God of the gaps and the things that we don't know today. But just like we learned what lightning was, and we no longer believe in Zeus, one day we just might learn where life came from and where the universe, how it originated. If it originated at all, I don't see what's the big problem with the universe being eternal. You say your God is eternal. Why can't the universe be eternal? I mean, the universe exists at least. So the reason why God is a bad answer to the question of origins is because it raises more questions than it answers. Because now, if I was to accept your answer that God done it, God farted and the universe came out. Now I want to know, where did God come from? How did God create the universe? Does he have hands? Did he, like I said, did he just fart the universe out? Or like the Bible say, did he speak it into existence? How do you know these things? Are you just pulling these pseudo facts out your ass, or can you prove it? Another argument that we commonly get on this show is the watchmaker argument. They say, well, look at everything. How you can't see that everything is working together, and because everything worked together, that means it got to be some creator. No, it doesn't. We are looking at Earth billions of years after it formed. A billion is a long time. You could have started counting when you were born, and you wouldn't have got to a billion until you turned 30 years old. That's how big that number is. It's a big number. So Earth is at least 4 billion years old. At least. Probably older, but at least 4 billion years old. And you looking at all of this life and all these ecosystems working together. And you say, wow, must be some creator. But you're not taking into account all of the species that are extinct, that didn't fucking make it because they weren't suited for this environment. They didn't have a symbiotic relationship with the other animals in the environment. So it's called counting the hits and forgetting the misses. And there's way, way, way more misses than there are hits. Now, ain't it crazy that the scariest thought for some Christians, the scariest thing to these people, is the one thing that just might set us free? Knowledge that there is no God, and we are left to our own devices. We can't pray our problems away. But I digress. The purpose of this episode was to talk about atheists need love too. So I believe my co-host is in the building. Or who we got in the building? 512 area code.
Yeah, this me, Kweli.
Oh, okay,
What's up?
That's Kweli. What's going on, Kweli? You are on the air, man. Talk to the people.
Oh yeah, man. It's been a while, man, since we done anything like this. Man, I feel like it's time we get active. We got to get active, man, because I feel like, yes, you're putting out the information with Ray Hagans and, a lot of things that our people have not seen. But I think it's time for us to get active. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So atheists need love too, and I'm gonna give y'all my story. So, of course, it's gonna sound embarrassing, but I be on a dating site called BLK. So I do read bios, and some of these women don't have bios. So they like me back and stuff like that, tell me I'm handsome and all this other good stuff. So we finally exchange numbers. So once we exchange numbers, here go, God this and God that. I was like, I be trying not to bring it up because I feel like this. In the beginning, when you're getting to know each other, or if you're on a date, I feel like nobody should bring up religion or politics. I think that would be like an embarrassing thing. Secondly, I'm in the South, just like Kweli. We both in the South, and it's like our women are the most religious women. And if you don't believe in God, you're not good enough. You're a sinner. You're not qualified to be a husband. When has religion ever qualified anybody to be a fucking husband or a wife? I want somebody to really tell me that. What qualifies you to be a husband or a wife when it comes to religion? Because a lot of religious people are the worst. Their morality is objective because they're going by a book. They're going by a fucking book. So this chick gonna tell me, we had a little argument today, but I remain my friend because you know what? I don't stoop to a woman's emotions, okay? And, because I consider myself an alpha male. So alpha males know not to stoop to remain their friend, not to stoop to the level, to the emotional level when it comes to arguing with anybody, whether it's male or female. But anyway, she gets frustrated. I'm just still cool. I listened to her for like 10 minutes. Talking about she wasn't brought up in the church. I knew that was a lie. Talking about nobody brought her to Christ. I knew that was a lie. Talking about she heard God talk to her audibly. I said, that was a lie. I said, well, Nick, I said, can you talk to God right now? And while we're on the phone, and he say something, and they made her even more mad. So because I didn't listen to her, long story short, just because I didn't listen to what she had to say, I started talking about the Council of Nicaea, and she said, oh, that was written by man. Man did that. I said, well, man wrote your book. But God said they was inspired, though. They said they was inspired. Oh, so when it comes to your shit, it's correct. You know what I'm saying? Because she's talking about, Paul never met Jesus. And a lot of Paul's writings were forgeries. Nobody knew. The only thing Paul wrote, Paul. You know what I'm saying? Or the book of, what's that shit? I'm for real. Like, I don't even believe Paul wrote Paul.
Acts, Galatians, all of that shit they said he wrote.
Yeah. Yeah. So this shit going, so we get into argument. You know what? I'm just gonna leave it alone. You're not my husband. I said, she said, I'm gonna pray for you. I said, well, you pray for me, I'll be thinking for you. And she hung up in my face. This happened to me twice in a week. All these religious ass black women and people, I'm like Chris Rock said, anybody that still believes in Christianity has short-term memory loss, meaning that you don't forget how you became a Christian. And I want to ask anybody that's in the audience. I want to ask anybody that's in the audience right now. Can anybody tell me in a time of history where black people were Christians before they was enslaved? How did we become Christians without being enslaved? I don't think nobody can answer that question.
Or Muslims.
Because the only evidence that you do have. That what?
I said, or Muslims either, for that matter.
Yeah, Muslim, yeah. And then, you know, I tried to, she did, okay, I left something out. She did say that Africans sold themselves into slavery, and I just basically face palmed. I said, oh, not this shit again. She said, oh, she said, no, we don't talk about it. I said, okay. I said, well, I've been to Africa, I was in the military, and I talked to the natives. They said that the only reason why it seemed the white man put that out there is because when the sub-Saharan slave trade happened with the Arabs, they enslaved Africans and forced other Africans to go and get other Africans. Same shit that they did over here. Like when they had runaway slaves over here in the South, they sent other slaves to go catch those slaves. Same shit. So that's why it looks like that black people sold each other into slavery. I said, well, show me a bill of sale then. If a black man sold another black man, as a matter of fact, show me some African kings that went over into Europe, that went over into fucking Saudi Arabia to say, hey, I got some niggas, y'all want them? Yeah, they some good ass niggas, man. They work the field and everything, and I got some fine ass, some nigga bitches. Please tell me, hey, y'all want something, man? Hey, look, I want 50,000 per African. Y'all can hook me up some guns and shit. Give me some tobacco. All right, then, cool. I want to see the contract between African kings and African kings and Arabs and African kings and Europeans. But they all sat down and said, yeah, I want some of your niggas. Yeah. I'm taking them to America and help them build America.
It's
then
crazy,
make them 3/4 of a man.
Shit so far in people's mind. Like I heard at least 2 black people. I'm talking about like black as me say that same thing. Like we were talking about how fucked up slavery was or whatever, and they said, "Well, but black people sold black people into slavery." Like, first of all, I really don't. That's beside the point because we know for a fact that white people did it. So if it was a few coons, it's always some motherfucking, you know what I'm saying, Uncle Tom ass, coon ass motherfuckers that's gonna sell out. So if it was a few sellouts, that don't mean that slavery was done by black people. So you know what I'm saying, they don't dismiss it. It's almost like the same thing they do with police brutality and black on black crime. They say, oh well, black people kill black people all the time. That don't mean that the police supposed to kill them. You know what I'm saying? That's 2 different issues.
Yeah, it's like victim blaming. The victim blaming the victim. Come on, man. The victim blaming the victim. That's sad, bro. Like, our black, it's mainly but our brothers ain't even that religious. I talked to some Christian brothers and, man, they said, really, we walking away from this shit. He said, man, I don't even fucking go to church. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Nemo Ho says, tell them to read it. Yeah, oh yeah, she did talk about Genesis. I quoted Genesis 1:1 verbatim, but I'm gonna deal with that after I finish the topic with Kweli was just talking about. So yeah, man, it's like the European, they enslaved us, right? And they got us believing that Africa did it to us. Like the kidnappers sold themselves into slavery. How the fuck a kidnapper? It's like, oh my goodness, like I don't even know, man. It's like so mind-boggling. This lets me know that black women in the South, and I exclusively date black women. No offense to whites or Mexicans or whatever, but I exclusively date black women. But I know it's gonna piss some black people off, man. It's like I'm starting to venture off into other races, even though I never done it before. But because I feel like our black women, or some of our black women, are just stupid.
If you really want a black woman, just get one that's like from the motherland. You know what I'm saying? They got black women in Panama and Dominican Republic and all type of shit, man. Black people everywhere. Like I found that it's something about this country and the way that people raised here that any American-born woman is gonna have. Like either she gonna be materialistic, she gonna be religious, she gonna be a gold digger.
Yep.
It's rare that you find a real like queen that's born in America. You know what I'm saying? You got to get you one from Bangladesh or something. She could still be black, but she just
like this synagogue, Guinea-Bissau, you know. You gotta leave the Nigerian women alone, because them suckers is religious, boy. God, now I would not date a Nigerian, even though my bloodline goes back to the Yoruba tribe. I still would not date a Nigerian, not a modern day Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? People in Ghana, the Khan tribes and stuff, they're not religious.
You can go. You can finish, Kwame. I'm just letting the people in the chat know that the phone lines are open. Anybody can call in. They are open. The number is on the screen. So, Sweet Pea, you can go ahead and call in, because we're not answering questions in the chat no more. This is a call-in show, so if you want to participate, you got to call in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, all y'all can do, if you want to, we'll answer questions if you do a super chat. That's the only way we're going to answer a question is if you super chat. Yeah, we'll answer it then. Go on and super chat. That'll help us out. But if you want to be... Call in, yeah. That's the only way we're gonna do it. That's how Kweli and I are running the show. Thank you.
And while we on this, hold on to your thought, man, because I want you to keep going. But I just want to let everybody know that we are going to change the name of the show real soon. We haven't solidified the name yet, and we are open to suggestions. So anybody that have any, you can go to QueliKush.com and send us a message in the contact box, and we are open to your suggestions. So the name of the show will be changing. And we don't want to speak too much about what's going on, but just stay tuned, because there's going to be a lot of big changes coming to the Kweli Kush channel and QueliKush.com. Me and Kwame both going to be doing some things. So make sure y'all stay tuned. And it's a good change, so nothing bad.
Right. And I'm going to start Bible Comedy Hour tomorrow. I'm going to start putting some stuff out, on the channel as well. So I'm going to do Bible Comedy Hour, about an hour. And stuff like that. Then we'll open up the phone line. So be on the lookout for be on the lookout for that as well. Sweet package or whatever. Yes, no, you call in right now. The number's on the screen, so you can call in. I don't know if you're male or female, but you can call in right now. We'll let you have the floor. But your argument has to be sound. It has to be relevant to the topic. That's all we ask. Now, back to what I was saying. So we talked about enslaving Africans. So it's sad, like Ray Hagen said, he that controls the printed page controls the thinking of the age. It's to the point where this woman argued me down, and I'm in my room because I'm getting a little heated myself. So I started doing some push-ups. I put my pull-up bar up. I started doing some pull-ups because she was really getting under my skin a little bit. But I ain't gonna lie, she was getting under my skin a little bit. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker right here. Oh, don't come with that European shit. Don't come with that European shit. Stop blaming the white man. I'm gonna blame that motherfucker when I wake up in the morning, when I sit down on the toilet, take a shit, when I eat breakfast. I'm gonna blame him, because you know why? Because he put us in his mindset. You're too stupid to get away from it, and you feel like you have to be right. These are the few things that women do when you argue with a woman. They want to insult. They want to guilt trip you. They want to name call, and they want to feel they got to feel the need to be right. You cannot argue with a woman, because she even said she's getting frustrated. I told her I didn't even block her. I went on Facebook and went live and talked about her. Because she went through my Facebook because something was wrong with her phone, so we did Facebook. So we did like a little Facebook live or whatever. I mean, not live, but Facebook Messenger. And then she said, well, cause I told her, I said, look, I'm doing some chores. I'm cleaning up my house. I'm going to go wash my cars. You know what I'm saying? So after I did that, so that's when she called me. I guess she knew I was done for some reason. And she said, well, I did some research, and I might not be the woman that you want. I said, what are you talking about? Well, you're an atheist. I'm a woman of God. I said, well, what makes you a woman of God? She said, well, just because I believe in wholeheartedly, I follow his laws, statutes, and commandments. I said, okay. Well, why aren't you stoning homosexual? Well, that was the old ways. They don't do that now. I said, well, wait a minute. How the fuck you gonna say that you a woman of God, you follow the law, statutes, and commandments, but when I say, well, why aren't you stoning homosexuals or beating your kid when she was, because I was on video chat with her last night, and she made her kid like do squats against the wall or some shit. I said, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I already knew it was gonna be disastrous anyway. So I started to bring it up. I said, no, I don't want to bring nobody kids up in a conversation like that. So that's when it started getting like, she's talking about everybody, everything I'm learning is wrong. And because I told her I went to seminary school, I said I went to Jarvis Christian College and to be a minister, and my own minister was telling me this shit. He's been in there for years, so she gonna say that he's wrong. I'm thinking about him like, you dumb bitch. That's like you telling you don't know nothing about brain surgery. You don't know nothing about brain surgery, but you telling the brain surgeon that he don't know what he's doing. Like, what kind of shit is that?
That's what they do, man. Because she working on belief, man. And you know what? I also learned that some people just can't be reached, man. Because I got people that I've been trying to like spoon feed for years, and it's like they in the same spot. They still coming back with the same logical fallacies and nonsense arguments, and you know,
it's fear.
Similar to what
it's all fear.
Yeah, to what you say that she sound like, man. So it's like it's two types of people like that. It's the ones that you ain't never gonna get through to because they either out of fear, like you said, they out of fear of believing, and they too afraid to stop, or you gotta spoon feed them. You know what I'm saying? So like if y'all was on good terms, I don't know how left it went, but if y'all was on good terms, what I would do, I would just send Shorty like the John Hawkins piece. You know what I'm saying? It's a real quick article, you know what I mean? But it'll tell her all about how the Queen Elizabeth commissioned John Hawkins to go get Africans and sell them as slaves, and they used her ship that was named Jesus. So that'll kill her argument about the blacks and kill her argument about Christianity.
Bro, not only that, okay, so I'm glad you brought that up too. She said, do you have a Bible in your home? I said, no, I don't carry no Bible in my home. I said, well, we can look this up. She said, that's the problem. Everybody want to look things up on the internet. No, if it ain't an old King James Bible, then I don't want you reading from it. I said, you mean the one with the slave ship on it? She said, what? I said, yeah. That's the one you're talking about, right? The one with the slave ship. And she said, oh my God. I said, have you seen that Bible with the slave ship? And she said, she didn't even answer. So she went off on a whole nother tangent. Talking about the internet is wrong and the internet does this. I'm like, what?
The internet is wrong and right at the same time. You gotta be smart enough to know the difference between wrong and right information. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's talking about that I'm wrong. She's talking about, well, you gotta ask God, you gotta read the Bible for yourself. Don't lean onto your own understanding, reading Proverbs or whatever. I think Proverbs what? Do not lean onto your own understanding. I forgot what verse that was. But yeah, man, it's sad. It's like every time I talk to a woman, they gotta bring up God. They asked me, do I go to church? I said, hell no, I don't go to church. I said just like that because I don't care. I don't care about losing a female. That means you ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? But this thing, the pick of the litter down here in the South, y'all, is you got what's the percentage now? We got 89%. We got less than 90% finally. Because it used to be 99% religious. Now it's like less than 90% of women are religious. But
you got a lot of people that call themselves spiritual. You know, I be hearing that a lot. They call themselves spiritual, but then like if you talk to them, you ask them questions, they still Christian minded, most of them. You know what I'm saying? If not that, they Muslim. You know what I'm saying? I'm the only atheist that I know that's not on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Straight up.
Yeah, exactly. So then we got into the conversation of faith healing. That pissed her off because I said, well, why faith healers are healing people in the church and not in the hospitals? And then she's talking about, well, I ain't worried about all that. I'm worried about what God did for me. I said, well, that sounds like individualism. Like you only like your God will take his time out of his day to help you pay a car note when Johnny over here or little Tyrone or little Leia over here getting raped. You know what I'm saying? By their uncle or whatever. She said, that's not individualism. What are you talking about? That don't make no sense. It makes perfect sense. Well, it don't make sense to you because you're not incapable of thinking outside the box. You're still stuck in this echo chamber thinking that you're right and you're bouncing ideas off of yourself. And then I told her, I said, well, enjoy your farm full of cats. You got a daughter, but you're going to die alone. You're going to die alone because not all men, I say the percentage of men that I looked at the last poll was 57%. The percentage of women that are religious is about, like I said, about 80-some%. 89% are religious women that still believe in Christianity, stuff like that. So a lot of them women that want to bring up God. See, you know what? This is another thing. I think the women I talked to, Kweli, that bring up God, they probably felt like I was a man of God. I need to probably change my profile and say, look, I'm not interested in your God. I probably need to take some words out and put like, I'm not interested in your God, so don't come at me that way. That'll narrow down a lot of women hitting me up on the internet. So once I say that shit, they probably narrow down it all the way to the woman that's spiritual or atheist or whatever. I don't care about a spiritual one because women that say that they're spiritual, they're really non-believers, and they say that shit's kind of like hide the fact that they're atheists. I think that's why
or
people
they
do
might
it.
not
I'm
know.
spiritual too.
Cause
Yeah.
for years I was calling myself spiritual, but not religious. And really I was an atheist. I just didn't, you know what I'm saying. I never asked myself the question if God don't exist, because I just took it for granted that okay, there's a God and the sky is blue and 2 + 2 is 4. Like I just knew that there was a God. And then the first time I asked myself, what if God ain't even real? It's like a light bulb went off. I was like, holy shit. I ain't got no reason to
Mm-hmm.
think that he is real, other than the motherfucker told me that. So just
Exactly.
like some people might
You
just
know,
be delusional.
yeah, and I want to bring up another topic later on, like on another date, or I might just do like a recording and send it to you, and that way, I don't want to put it on all in one show. You know what I'm saying? But everybody thought, because I'm the only person in my family that's an atheist. Everybody thought that God was gonna come kill me. Everybody thought that, well, I'm gonna have an insurance policy on you because you don't believe in God, blah blah blah. Rise in power to my cousin. He was a super Christian. He died like last month. They found him in his apartment dead. He had so much caffeine in his system, he had a heart attack because he worked 3 jobs. He was a super Christian. Everybody was expecting me to die because I didn't believe. But my cousin, who was a believer and worked 3 jobs, worked himself into the ground basically, he died. I told my mom, I said, look, death does not care whether you're an atheist or a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew. It does not care. So if y'all going off like, oh, because I don't believe something's going to happen to me. I've been an atheist since I was 28. I woke up easily because I asked myself the simple question, what if this stuff isn't true? Because so much shit was going wrong in my life. And my story is I was still on my knees begging God. And, I was homeless in Austin. And, until I found a place to stay. Because my cousin that passed away did help me find a place to stay. And it was with him in this big ass house in Del Valley. So he said, well, I don't want to hear about your atheist. I'll never forget it, man, when he was alive. He said, I don't want to hear about your atheist stuff. Don't talk about that stuff in this house or whatever. I said, okay, cool. You ain't got to worry about that.
David.
So he helped me get a place.
561 area code. What's your name?
Has joined.
Hey, man, how are you? I'm calling from Florida.
What's your name?
David.
David, what's going on? What you got for us, man?
Actually, I don't have much to bring to the conversation. I just happened to stumble upon this channel on YouTube, and I've been listening for a bit. And I actually wanted to learn more. I wanted to know if there was any additional information or resources or anything you could point me in the direction of for someone who's interested in learning more about the truth. I was raised Catholic, and I converted to Christianity, and I've been a believer in God for quite some time. But I'm the kind of person, I like to question my own faith because it lets me know whether it's real or not. But as I've been listening to this conversation, a lot of the things that I'm listening to an extent, make sense. And I just wanted to know if there was anything aside from this that I could look into to help deepen my understanding as far as, the notion that God may not be real and he may be made up, and things about the queen and the white man and things of that nature, because I'm the kind of person, there are some Christians who, like he said, talking about that woman from Georgia, how she feels some type of way about this and that, very close-minded, very narrow-minded. But I'm actually the opposite. I'm very open-minded. I'm very willing to learn.
That's good, man. I'm glad you asked, man. So as far as the information,
You're very good.
you can go look in this video's description. It have all the links, but the website is QueliKush.com, or you can just scroll through the videos on this YouTube channel. A lot of them are very lengthy, but if you, like you said, you want to learn, you can look at the titles and determine which one you think you might get some information from. We got a lot of stuff up and coming as well, but we also post audio books every day, book recommendations. So if you want to read or listen to the books, and they're all relating or pertaining to this topic. And what is your faith, if you don't mind me asking? What religion?
Well, actually, I consider myself Christian, but I've been actually even studying with Jehovah's Witnesses for 4.5 years. But long story short, I'm so open-minded. I even went to every service of every religion for every week for quite some time. I studied with Muslims and Jewish individuals, Christians, Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists.
Like you're on your way to being an atheist. That's exactly what I did when I was searching. I was searching for the truth. I was just researching every religion. You know what I mean? My dad was bouncing around from different religions, so I would go to churches with him. So I got to see all the inside and the going ons of different religions. And it's easy to like, if you didn't grow up in the religion, it's easy to kind of spot the bullshit. You know, like if you're not a Muslim, you think it's kind of pointless to pray 5 times a day and face the east and all that. And if you're not a Christian, you think it's pointless to eat some bread and drink some wine. You know, so it was easy for me to get a better view of what I believed once I was able to see what was available to believe. You know what I mean? Well, Kwame, you wanna add anything on?
Yeah, man, you're on the right path, man, because what did it for me was I just basically started researching. You got to kind of like detach from your religion. Like what you're doing. Well, I think from here what you're saying, you kind of detached a little bit, which is a good thing. That way you're able to open your mind, because a lot of people are afraid to detach from a religion based on the fear factors or the consequences that they were programmed to believe it's happening. So don't worry about the consequences, because there's no evidence of a consequence behind detaching from Christianity. Christianity is the most popular religion. 90% of people that are Christians, they believe in this heaven and hell shit. So you gotta think of it like this: Santa Claus. If you're good all year, you're gonna get presents. And the evidence of Santa Claus is presents of the tree, but nobody's ever saw Santa Claus, right? So you got to detach from that belief, because everybody tell you that, the Easter, when you get to a certain age, they're like, the Easter Bunny is not real, Santa Claus is not real, Tooth Fairy is not real. We've been doing this the whole time, right? That's how they get kids when they're young. So it's a good thing, my brother, that you detached from your religion, and that way your mind is to explore. But I'm gonna let you know something, man. Everything extends from ancient Egypt, because the ancient Africans invented paper, so the other gods wasn't found out until paper. Tell me why the ancient Egyptians or the ancient Kemetic people put their gods on the wall, or their deities, or the natural deities, or the N.E.W. on the walls before they made paper. And the other deities from other religions wasn't found out until paper was invented. So if their God was real, why did they God wait till paper was made for them to be known about? You know what I'm saying? So it's a good thing, my brother. Like Ray Hagen's really helped me out, wake up, because he's a pastor and he know how to reach people, you know what I'm saying, through his pastoring. And go ahead, bro.
Excuse me, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you good.
The individual whom you're speaking of, was he the gentleman, kind of heavy-set bald, who was speaking earlier? Because I tuned in a lot earlier too, listening to this pastor preaching and talking about okay, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a very spiritual-minded individual. I like to be mindful of morality and ethics and anything that defines those and helps people get a sense of right and wrong. And as I was listening to him and whatnot, and I even heard as far back when he had said the thing about people and the young people today and celibacy, and how this, that, and the other, about when people, especially the white kids, will go into the schools shooting because they realized they were lied to, and that the previous generation did this, that, and the other. I really don't even know how I stumbled upon it, but I actually clicked on it by accident. But as I was listening, I just thought it was very fascinating, because even as you said, detaching from my faith or detaching from it, one thing I noticed when I told other religions what I was doing, because I'm a very friendly, outgoing person. I love to learn, and I don't mind admitting when I don't know something. When I don't know something, instead of trying to pretend I know, I acknowledge the fact that I don't, and I purposely seek out a way where I can understand, attempting to be humble. And that's one thing that a lot of these religions liked in the beginning. But once I got to know things and I got to see things and I started to question, they kind of got uneasy. But especially when I admitted that I was studying with every other religion, that's when I don't want to say I was excommunicated, but it's like, especially with religious leaders, how can you kick someone out when everyone likes them, when they're very charismatic, when they show to be a really good person? How do you do something without looking bad to everybody else? But it got to a point where they would say things like, "Oh, he's trying to confuse you. I wasn't trying to confuse anybody. I didn't go in there proclaiming one thing and another. I didn't go in there condemning anything or defending anything. I just came in there questioning, trying to understand even the word of God. Well, the book that
Can
was
I ask you a
written.
question? No, I don't mean to cut you off. Can I ask you a question? What brought you to that milestone? What brought you to that wall in your life to say, hey, let me question everything? Because beforehand, you did question based off of some certain fears you may have had. I don't know you. But what brought you? Can you explain to the audience, like, what brought you to that wall, that milestone in your life to say, hey, let me open my mind up a little bit? Because that's what I did. The milestone, came from me when I realized that trouble hits anybody. Shit falls, the rain falls everywhere. So you can't pray for raindrops not to hit you. They're going to hit you anyway because they hit everybody when you're outside. Same thing with death and problems of the world and stuff like that. What brought you to that milestone?
To be honest, it was hearing a conversation once about another religion and me being told that they were wrong and we were right. And I just went to that other religion and I said, hey, what do you guys believe? And the thing that got me was a lot of the beliefs were similar. And then I started wondering, why are some things the same and so many things different? And a lot of them have similar roots when it comes to certain beliefs derived from the same book, the Bible. But somewhere along the way, they each have different stories about how they veered off. And the one thing that gets me the most is how can you get one book with so many different interpretations and understandings? And I found it fascinating, but also it made me think to myself, well, if this could be true, then are we the ones wrong? And it just made me, with the way people were reacting to me, it just made me realize this is the kind of thing I would have to do on my own because I can't ask somebody to come with me and help me understand. It's the kind of thing where you just got to be mature enough and wise enough and have enough discernment to say, listen, this is what I'm going to veer off to learn more, to make up my own mind, to acquire my own understanding, because at the end of the day, when I would even ask pastors and priests and imams and rabbis and elders and all this stuff about how they know they're true and they're wrong, at the end of the day, they couldn't even tell me. They just regurgitate information that was passed on to them and passed on to them. You know how, like, when some kids are born, some things are hereditary, and sometimes you can acquire traits from your mother and your father? Just like certain things can be passed on from one generation to another, with certain entire demographics, with certain nations as a whole, just like education can be passed on, ignorance can be passed on too. And I just found it kind of bothersome when sometimes even the leaders didn't realize they're misleading the followers, because that's something I take pretty seriously, and I didn't want to be misled anymore. At least in my eyes, that's what I realized.
Okay, good answer. Did you see, well, the thing for me, it was like looking at the life. I didn't. Now you dealt with the religion. I still kind of stayed in Christianity, and it was like, for me, it was like I felt like the fall was 90 feet when the fall was only 2 inches. So you did more of what I did, but see, I looked at reality, and I'm not saying you didn't look at reality, but what helped me was looking at reality. I stood out in the backyard. I was target practice. I was out in the country in Austin, so I was shooting my gun in the backyard. You know what I'm saying? Do some target practice. I'm like, man, and you will not believe what I did. See, I didn't even tell my boy Kweli this. Kweli, you know what I did, man?
What?
You wanna know what I did, bro? Guess what I put on the tree? I put a Bible on the tree. No, I think I did think about me shooting the Bible, like the light did. Because it was around that time I was like 28, 29, like that. I said, Lord, if this is true, and I know it's a stupid way because we already knew that the laws of physics were basically me shooting a bullet at a Bible is going to destroy it. But in my Christian mind at the time, I said, if this religion is true, this bullet should stop this Bible. I mean, this Bible should stop this bullet. Man, that Bible shattered into pieces when I shot it. but that wasn't the all to be all. But I started like looking at other red pill content. I'm gonna start a website or a group called the Red Pill Cartel. You know what I'm saying? So reason why I call it the Red Pill Cartel is people that's coming out of religion into atheism, reason and stuff like that. So everybody needs to be red pill, because Bible to me is blue pill. It starts with a B, so blue pill, Bible, beta males, all the other shit. So you gotta look at it like that. It's a blue pill concept. But that's what it did for me, man. Looking at life's trials and tribulations, troubles. And also I was in Austin when that guy took that plane and ran it into the IRS office. I said, why didn't God stop that? Why didn't God stop that guy from taking a plane and crashing into the IRS off building off of Ben White in Austin, Texas? You know what I'm saying? So,
Also,
and the guy, and come to find out, researching the guy, he was religious. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say, what helped me a lot was reading as well. The first book that kind of got me started in my search, and at the time I used to call it a spiritual journey because I kept bouncing. Like you said, you were studying different religions. I kept bouncing from ideology to ideology, but I would never cling to one all the way. It's just I would hear a new one and it sound right to me. You know what I mean? And I didn't know about skepticism and fallacies and how to question things and epistemology. I didn't know none of them words back then. So I was just like, what, law of attraction? Let me see what that's about. Just going into everything. But the first book that got me started in that was a book called What God Wants by N.E.W. And you can go to my website and get that at QueliKush.com for free. And it's an easy read. You can read it in a couple hours, or you can listen to the audiobook. But it just gives you a bunch of questions that you can ask yourself, that when you ask yourself these questions, it'll be apparent to you that religion makes no sense. You know what I mean? Because like the title of the book, What God Wants. So like God has everything. He is everything, right? What the fuck could you want if you already are everything? How could you want? So God don't want nothing from you, basically, is the gist of it. You know what I mean? He can't if he really exists. And that was the first thing that got me started, because at the time when I read that book, I was a Christian. So I was like, damn, okay, God don't really care about if I'm going to church or not. You know what I mean? Or I see bad people have good lives all the time. You know what I mean? And rest in peace to DMX. But if y'all saw the stories, before he got on as a rapper, he was pretty much an asshole, going around robbing people all the time and shit with a dog. So he got blessed with a tremendous career, you know what I mean? And he wasn't no saint. So how do you look at that and then look at, my friend Tim, who died when he was 17, or my friend Ted, who died when he was 19, doing everything right. You know what I mean? Not hurting nobody. So things like that is what kind of opened my eyes to the fact that religion was bullshit. And I've read like hundreds of books over the years, but definitely some good reads that I always recommend for people when they on a search or their spiritual journey is What God Wants. And you sound like you pretty open-minded and shit, so I would already recommend any Christopher Hitchens books. If you haven't already read those. You might need a dictionary alongside, because he like to use big ass words and shit. But Richard Dawkins got some good books out there. Let me see, Richard Carrier, he's got some good books about debunking Christianity. He's a historian, so he'll give you the whole.
Hey, Quay, only to cut you off. But guess what?
What's up?
Guess what? Me and the girl that got into it, I'm trying to get her to call in. She texted me on Facebook, and she said, I said, well, maybe you have some information that we don't know. The number and access code is there. She said, I think she's going to call in. So go ahead and finish. But I got the girl that me and her got into it. We kind of broke up behind it, but hopefully she'll call in.
Tell her call in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm on Facebook right now talking to her.
Hey, what's up?
Go ahead, bro.
Call in, man. But yeah, and also the golden stool. You mentioned earlier about asking about the Queen and the good ship Jesus, and how they commissioned John Hawkins to get slaves, and they used Christianity as a means to lure them in and all that stuff. And the Golden Stool is a good book. It's written by a Christian missionary who he told on them without really knowing that he was telling on them. He was just really writing a book telling the truth. But when you read it, it's apparent that Christianity was the tool used to enslave Africans, and that's the history.
I see what you're saying, and I'm noticing.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yes, I see what you're saying, and I'm noticing. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I see what you're saying, and I'm noticing here the links you were referring to, because I want to look into this more, and I want to I just find it fascinating. One last thing I wanted to mention. Um, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I just want to get your opinion on this. When the gentleman who mentioned shooting the Bible when he was like 28, 29, and he went ahead and wanted to see if anything would happen. I wanted to know what's your opinion on the scripture that says to not test God, because in the Bible it also, and I'm only asking this question to get an opinion. I'm not questioning or trying to challenge the viewpoint that you already have. I'm trying to understand it. So in regards to that, the scripture that says not to test them, but also the scripture that speaks of free agency when he first created, well, when the book says that, he created the world and he created Adam and Eve and God's own image and things of that nature. When he had mentioned that, when he instructed them, you can have anything in the garden, but you will not eat of the tree, for surely you'll surely die and your eyes will be open and things of that nature, insinuating that we have the choice. So just your opinion, some people will listen to that and say, well, he's not going to intervene because, number one, it says not to test them. And then also, number two, he's not going to stop you from doing it because it says you do have a choice. There's nothing new under the sun. Because as I'm listening to you, I understand. I got you. And I can see why you would do that, because you want to know for yourself. And that's an honest action. You're sincere with your intent to know. Other people would say something like that. So if I was to question them in regards to something like this, but knowing what they would say, what would be your response to that?
Well, my response is, okay, so it's like, okay, so the reason why when I did that, because the reason why I did that is to see if something would happen. It's like what scientists do when they say, well, we want to see if this works. Like they tested prayer with the Templeton Foundation. Kweli knows about the Templeton Foundation. They're still you still got Christians trying to say prayer works through the Templeton Foundation. So trying to get that prize or whatever. But what I say to that is, plus I was young. I'm a security officer. I do armed security. I work for Brinks. I work for Brinks and Loomis. I deliver money for a living. So, but the thing is, I was back in my backyard, like I said. Kweli, she just texted. She said she's gonna call in 5 minutes. So so this is gonna be epic, man, because YouTube is gonna see that Kwame is not lying about how women in the South are. So the woman that basically didn't want to be with me anymore, she's actually gonna call in. So be ready for that, y'all. And also, brother that's on the phone, stay online because you still kind of Christian. You still a Christian. Maybe you can basically throw some insight at her too. But I must warn y'all, she's gonna be kind of hard to deal with because it was hard for me to deal with her. So, Kweli, are you ready for that?
Are you ready for that? That's your bag of bones.
I mean, hey, look, I'm just saying for the show though, for the show purpose.
Yeah. I'm always.
I'm just saying. Everybody in the comments, if you're in the comments, give us a thumbs up. If you ready for Shay to call in? The girl that basically told me she didn't want to be with me no more because I'm an atheist. She's gonna call in about 5 minutes. She just texted me on Facebook. Said she's about to call in 5 minutes. So y'all ready for this? Thumbs up.
Yes. Sir.
Anyway, so I'm So the thing is, you have to test and see if anything works. Because we get all these sayings like, oh, if you don't believe in God, God gonna strike you. Like if you say something, if you say goddamn, oh, God gonna get you for saying goddamn, or you're gonna get struck by lightning when you talk about Jesus crucifixion. Has it ever happened? No. That should let people know right there. That's all superstition. It's really superstitious beliefs. It's really superstition. So I wanted to see if something was gonna happen to me if I shot the Bible. Because I really got it from Brother Polite. And when Polite shot the Bible, it doesn't happen to him. I said, well, maybe God ain't even worried about Polite. Let me see if it does. Let me see if God does something to me. And I shot the Bible with 140 caliber bullet, and that Bible shattered into pieces. And so, so it didn't happen to me either. So I'm like, wait a minute.
To that verse, that not to test God, I always, because it's hard for me to, if you just think plainly and clearly, just think. Why would the creator of the universe write a book? Books are written by people. All right? So if the creator of the universe was going to communicate with everybody, I don't think he would do it the same way a person do it. But anyway, if you look at it like the alternative, you look at the two possibilities, like Kwame was saying, you do it like a scientist does. So hypothesis A, God wrote this book, or God inspired this book, and he said, don't test God. Hypothesis B, man wrote this book, and they say, don't test God. Now, hypothesis B makes a lot more sense to me, because instead of all these questions like why would God write a book, that I'm left with hypothesis A. And hypothesis B, all of these questions make sense, because a man would say don't test God, because if you test it, you're going to find out that it ain't there. So he wants you to not test it. He wants to scare you into not testing his lie. So in hypothesis B, I have an explanation. Now I can test it, and if it doesn't get unproven, I can develop my hypothesis into a theory. You can't do that with hypothesis A, that God wrote it, because you just left with more questions.
She's trying to say this is an invalid pen. I gave her the right pen. She's trying to say, oh, it says invalid pen. No, it's the right pen. 778-8065. I said, that's the right pen. Stop playing. So she's trying to say it's an invalid pen. She's trying to call in now.
Tell her come on. She can also.
I'm sorry, Kweli. I didn't even know.
You good? I was done. She can also just click the link on the computer and join from a computer. She ain't got to show her camera or nothing if she don't want to.
All right, let me go ahead and finish. I'm gonna find that link right now.
All right, but I guess let me take some time to do the book of the day. So just hold on for about 2 minutes, since we didn't do it yet. And you were asking also for some more information. So this is what one of the segments of our show, what we do. We just recommend books, the audio version, because that's the way I read books now, and I like it a lot. So I recommend it to people that I learn so much shit just listening to books. You know what I mean? While other people listening to Trippy Red or whatever, I'm listening to an audiobook. So today's audiobook is Atheist Universe, the thinking person's answer to Christian fundamentalism. It is very on topic with your question. So is there really a God, or does God exist only in our head? Is the Bible truly God's word, or is it just a jumble of fantastical myths? Atheist Universe details why God is unnecessary to explain the universe's diversity, organization, and beauty. Using simple, straightforward logic, this audiobook rebutes every argument that claims to prove God's existence. A comprehensive primer for countering today's religious dogma, Atheist Universe addresses all the historical and scientific questions, including what is atheism and why is it so misunderstood? If God is just a myth, then how did the universe get here? Without God, is there objective right and wrong? And what is the meaning of life without God? Is there evidence of Jesus' miracles and resurrection? No. Can atheists explain near-death experiences and medical miracles? Yes. Can science and the Bible realistically be reconciled? And what is behind-the-scenes relationship between politics and religion? And the link to this free audiobook is in the description. All right.